beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about daily practices for healing, fulfillment, and balance. So the first practice that I do in my day is journaling my must-dos. This is something that I kind of invented for myself so that I would never break any of my promises to myself, and so that I would continue taking action on the things even if I lacked motivation for them. So for example, a lot of us have really great ideas, such as we want to work out, or we want to eat healthy, or we want to take action on a big goal that we have, whatever the case may be. A lot of us have these great ideas in our head, but when it comes time to actually act on it and do it, we can sometimes lose the motivation and not end up following through on the things that we say that we're gonna do. So this is why I kind of created this journal where I call it my must-dos. And this journal I have so that I never, ever break a promise. This is a journal that if I write something in it, if I write like, I'm going to work out tomorrow at 6 a.m., I am going to eat very healthy, no unhealthy snacks, no whatever. If I write it in this journal, I absolutely have to do it no matter what. We're not always going to feel motivated to achieve our goals. Not every day are we gonna feel like reading, not every day are we gonna feel like working out or moving forward on our dream life, but that's where the concept of discipline really comes in handy. And so this is kind of like my discipline journal where I'm like, okay, what are things that I have to do the next day, whether I feel motivated for it or not? And this is how you can create your dream life. This is how you're going to become successful, because successful people don't just wait for motivation to happen. Successful people who reach their dreams, goals, and desires and reach that long-term fulfillment know the concept of discipline and disciplining yourself to do things. So I don't feel like making my bed every day, but that's something that I really focus on doing. I don't feel like reading a chapter of my book every single day. I'm somebody who really likes reading, but there are some days where I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And so I will write it down in my must-dos, like I have to do this the next day, I have to work out, I have to, eat healthy, whatever it may be. And this has really helped me learn how to use that muscle of discipline and to also push myself to do things that are important. And again, life is about a balance. You don't want to completely overwhelm yourself, but at the same time, discipline is a very important concept. The next daily practice that I want to talk about is intention setting. And intention setting is what puts energy into motion. If we can take an overall view of our day and look at the different segments that we have, such as waking up in the morning, taking a shower and getting ready, going to work, coming home, making food, whatever it is that you're doing, if you can look at your day in different segments, when you can set an intention for those segments of your day, it'll really help you create more deliberate awareness of the outcome that you're going for and the energy that you're putting into something. So the reason why this is important, let's say that you are getting ready, and let's say you're thinking about all the different thoughts in your head. You're like, oh, what about this? Or what about that? Or I have to do this today and I have to do that. And we're not really focused on the outcome that we're really wanting to reach while we're getting ready. We're gonna notice that our energy is a little bit scattered and things are not really, happening in the present moment. But if we can set an intention that when we're getting ready, let's say that we're like, I want to look very romantic, very beautiful today. I want to, feel at my best. I want to become my highest self while I'm getting ready. If we can set an intention for that, it's going to put the energy into motion. So rather than just unconsciously kind of going through our day, this is helping us go consciously through our day. Most of us operate 95% of our day is unconscious. Most of our behaviors and actions are unconscious, and we just do the same thing. We wake up in the morning, we take a shower, we dry ourselves off with a towel in the same way that we always have. All of us have these unconscious patterns. Sometimes we get so caught up in our unconscious behaviors that we don't really realize that we are living the same day on repeat. When you can use intention setting, this is where you can begin to create conscious, deliberate intention behind what you're doing. So when we're going to work, let's say we're like, you know what? I'm gonna be really badass today in my job. And I'm gonna try to be at least 1% better today. Whatever your intentions are, that's gonna be what sets energy into motion. And that also allows you to be more conscious over your day. And therefore, intention setting is extremely powerful if you're wanting to create more conscious awareness in your life and to also shift your life towards your greatest potential. The next practice that I want to talk about is something that may not seem super powerful on the surface, but it is extremely powerful, especially if you do it consistently. And this is affirmations. If you do affirmations consistently, it will shift your life greater than you think. The reason why affirmations are so powerful is because our way of thinking actually affects our life so much. It affects what we go after, what we manifest into our life, and it affects our overall reality. So if we're constantly thinking in a way of like, why do I suck so bad? Or why am I not where I should be? Why am I not where I want to be? I'm not worthy of achieving this. What if I fail at that? I might as well not even try. Who am I to think that I could do that or achieve that or be that? I'm not that. I'm not confident, blah, 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 blah. Whatever our current way of thinking is affecting our choices in life. It's also affecting our emotional state. And when we're constantly thinking in a more negative way, or if we hold ourselves back from certain things because of our current pattern of thinking, then it's going to affect a lot of our outcomes in life and what we choose to do and go after and achieve. And so when we can tell ourselves affirmations, positive affirmations that will affirm to us what we do want and who we want to be, and will give us that motivation and that spark, this is going to be something that affects you deeply. And affirmations, when you first start doing them, they may feel like you are saying something that you don't really believe. So for example, affirmations can be telling yourself in the morning, I am worthy, I am capable, I am beautiful, I am confident, I am successful, I am smart, I can achieve anything that I dream of. This is an example of affirmations that you could tell yourself. It may seem false at first, and your brain may be thinking like, I don't believe that. But the more that you tell yourself something, the more that you repeat it to yourself, the more that you are going to begin to believe it. Your subconscious mind works on patterns and repetitions and habits. So if you consistently do something, the more that you do it, the more that you're going to build that new neural pathway in your mind, in your brain, and it's going to become your new habit, your new normal. Therefore, you're going to shift your way of thinking from what it used to be into something that really works for you, into something that builds you up and motivates you and gives you confidence, gives you energy, something that really supports who you want to be and what you want to achieve in your life. Your way of thinking affects you so much on such a deep level. And affirmations is a way that you can begin to take control of your own mind, your own way of thinking, and therefore you're going to take control of who you are and your reality that you are creating for yourself. So affirmations are incredibly, incredibly powerful. And I personally actually have a mirror where I write my affirmations on it. So I'll write, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am wise, I am magic, I am love. These are examples of affirmations that I use for myself. And when I write them on my mirror in the morning, these are affirmations that I'll repeat throughout the day. And even if you're struggling at first and you might be thinking like, oh, well, I don't believe that, it just seems so false. The more that you do it, the more that you're going to believe it. So this is something that you have to stay consistent with, even though you may not see results right away. Breathwork is also something that I love to incorporate into my daily practices. This is something that's been new for me that I'm adding into my daily practices. And breathwork is very powerful. There's many different forms and types of breathwork depending on what you are looking for, what outcome that you want. There's ones that help you release stress and help reduce the stress hormone in the body if you have a lot of cortisol. It's also something that people use to balance their hormones and your overall energy, because your energy is also regulated by the breath as well. You can also heal trauma with breath work. Breath work is such an all-encompassing type of practice, so I really like to incorporate that and also learn new types of breath work. And one of my favorite ways to learn new techniques and types of breath work is through the app Aura Health. Aura Health has been my favorite app ever since I discovered it a few months ago. It's like Spotify, but for your mind and soul. I love how much you can personalize this app for whatever you're looking for. They have meditations, breath work, coaching, ASMR, hypnosis, and other modalities for healing and spiritual growth. I personally love doing energizing breath work in the morning and doing calming meditations in the evening before bed. And the ones on Aura have been so nice and refreshing. And I love the fact that I get reminders throughout the day to be more mindful and present. And this helps me stay consistent with the practices that I've been wanting to incorporate into my life on a daily basis. You can get started with Aura today for free, and the first 500 people to use my link will also get 25% off, plus a free trial to the Aura membership. All of that information will also be linked down below for easy access, and a huge thank you to Aura Health for sponsoring today's video. The next point that I want to talk about that's really important to have as a daily practice is to add fun and pleasure into your life. And there's two different types of fun and pleasure. Both serve different purposes, and both can be really great to add into a daily practice depending on how you use them. The first type of daily practice for fun and pleasure is one that we all may be quite familiar with, but it's one that we need to use a lot of conscious awareness around. That first type of fun and pleasure is the things that bring us more immediate enjoyment, immediate pleasure, immediate reward. These things can become quite addictive if we're not consciously aware of what we're doing. And if we're not consciously aware, we may also fall into things that may not be so healthy. So when we have and when we incorporate more immediate pleasure into our life, it's important to be conscious of what you're choosing, but it is important to actually have this immediate pleasure. It has its place. It actually has and serves a good purpose. So things like seeing a friend, watching the sunset, going for a walk on the beach, cooking a really tasty meal, watching something really funny on TV or on your phone or something like this. It's actually really important to have these more immediate pleasures because it can help us decompress. It can bring us a sense of pleasure, especially if we've been working really hard or if we've been pushing ourselves really hard throughout the day. It's important to have this balance where we can create some fun and joy in our life. And those are examples of a little bit more of those healthy things. But of course, if we overindulge in those instant pleasures, we'll notice that we don't get much out of them in the future, and it can become unhealthy, and it can become an addictive habit that then ends up distracting us from our other responsibilities and from, disciplining ourselves to move forward and create the things that we really want to create in our life. So these immediate pleasures, they do serve a great purpose if we know how to use them and if we know how to balance them in our life. So it's important to make a list. What are the things that bring you immediate pleasure that you know are really fun for you? It's important to have this self-awareness so that we can know, when we want more fun and more enjoyment and pleasure in our life, that we have things that we can go to create that. But then again, it's important to have that discipline and not fall too far into them to where they become addictive and they become like a pattern that we can't break. So these things do serve a purpose, but we need to use them in moderation. The second type of fun is also incredibly important. And when we can balance the second type of fun with the first type of fun, this is where you can create a life full of pleasure and real fulfillment. So the second type of fun is the fun that has delayed gratification, delayed pleasure. So such as working on a goal that you really want to reach. Like let's say that you have a goal that you really want to be able to do professional yoga and do these like crazy inversions or things like that. Let's say you have a goal like that. That's my personal goal right now, actually. So that's why I'm using it as an example. So let's say you want to get really good at it and do these more, advanced poses and inversions. This is going to be a goal that when you're first working on it, it may take some discipline because we may not be very good at it at first. So we may not feel the reward of doing this right away. So we're gonna start working on this. We may not be very good at it. It may take a lot of time, practice, and dedication towards attaining that end goal. This is the type of fun and pleasure that brings lasting fulfillment versus the first type of fun and pleasure. That's something that brings immediate fulfillment, but then it doesn't sustain for a very long period of time. It's usually something that fades pretty quickly, and then we need to move on and find something else that's fun and pleasurable. Our life should be fun and pleasurable. It absolutely should be. And those instant fun things have their time and place, especially when we're needing to create more balance in our life and create, a fun and enjoyable life while still, having the balance of moving forward and working on ourselves and reaching our goals. But again, that's where that second type of fun and pleasure really comes in handy. When we can incorporate more of this into our life, this is what creates lasting fulfillment. When you work on something that you really want to achieve, something that has delayed gratification, something where we might not see the rewards or the benefits of it right away, but we know that once we do reach that goal, it's going to be quite fulfilling for us because we're like, wow, I really dedicated myself to something and now I can do it. That's going to be something that you can carry with you. That's going to bring you a sense of proudness, a sense of success, a sense of achievement, which will bring you that fulfilling amount of pleasure, and it'll be a much longer lasting, fulfilling pleasure for you. So this type of fun is really important as well. And if you can bring this into your daily practice where you work on, let's say, one big goal that you have, and then you also have 1 hour of the day where you enjoy a more quicker pleasure. And if you can balance both of these types of pleasures, the more immediate ones and, the more delayed gratification, those two, when you can balance those, this is what's going to create a very healing and fulfilling and balanced life. The reason why it's very healing is because we are focused on, of course, having a fun life, but then at the same time, we're also focused on creating that lasting fulfillment. This is incredibly healing, especially if we can break patterns of bad habits that brought us a lot of pleasure. It's important to kind of break those as being a habit, because we'll notice over time that we can become self-loathing about things that don't bring us lasting fulfillment and things that are kind of more of a bad habit. It can become self-loathing eventually. Also, if we have negative habits that we know are not good for us, but they might bring us some intense pleasure right away, we can tend to get frustrated with ourselves because there may be big goals that we really want to reach that we keep putting off because of these instant pleasures. The more that we can discipline ourselves, balance these two things, create healthy instant pleasures, but then also balance them with working on those more delayed gratification pleasures, this is where your life is going to become much more fulfilling, much more balanced, and you'll also notice an incredible amount of healing with this as well. The last thing that I want to talk about is self-care. This is something that is so important, and it can bring about tons of healing, balance, and fulfillment into your life as well. Taking care of your body and your temple is so valuable, and it can create a big impact on your quality of life. For example, let's use the analogy that your body is like a car. And let's say we haven't gotten a proper oil change in a while. And let's say we keep fueling it with fuel that's really low grade, and it's causing buildup in the engine. And let's say that we haven't got a car wash in a long time. All of these things will become kind of like a detriment to that car over time. The more that we use it and drive it, and the less that we take care of it, we're gonna notice that it breaks down easier. It might start rusting because we haven't washed it. Things are gonna start going wrong with it, and it's not going to be like the greatest experience. That car might cause us some problems that we don't really want. Our body is the same way. So if we're not treating ourselves right, even though we may not notice the repercussions of that right away, it may be causing repercussions later down the line that we're going to notice, and we may be at a time where we're wondering like, oh, why didn't I notice this sooner? Why didn't I make these changes sooner? Why didn't I start taking care of myself properly sooner before all of those bad decisions caught up to me, right? So I like to live my life by the philosophy of like, even if it's not going wrong right now, let's just take care of ourselves and make ourselves the best even right now so that we continue to be our best, right? So I love to have self-care nights, and I do some form of self-care at least every single day. But I also create these more larger nights sometimes where I will actually really like focus on more intensive kind of skincare, more intensive care for myself, to know that I'm really giving back to myself. The better that you take care of yourself, the more vital you are going to feel, the more alive you are going to feel, the more energized you're going to feel, the more balanced you're going to feel. It's also a very healing time because when you focus on caring for yourself, this can increase your confidence. It can increase your sense of self-worth. It can increase your self-image that you have with yourself and how you associate with yourself. It just makes you overall feel better about yourself. And we truly only get one vessel. So this whole analogy is actually quite different than the car, because if the car breaks down, we could always get a new car. But if we break down, we can't really get a new self or body. So like, I believe it's so important to have a daily practice of self-care because it will create tons more fulfillment in your life immediately and also down the line in the future. You'll also notice, again, tons of healing with this, and it will be much more balancing because when we properly take care of ourselves, so much in our life becomes so much more balanced. So self-care is something that I really like to focus on as a daily practice. It doesn't need to be incredibly long every single day. Like maybe just some form of self-care every day is sufficient, but then maybe focusing like once a week, once on like a Friday evening or something, focusing on more deeper self-care. Like how can we really, improve ourselves, give ourselves some love and the nourishment that we need so that we can continue living a thriving, beautiful, amazing, fulfilled life. So those are some of my daily practices for healing, fulfillment, and balance. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what are some of your daily practices for healing, fulfillment, and balance, because I'd love to read that as well. And I'm sending you all so much love, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.